Oh, I can hear myself. I know I can hear myself. 1 second. There it is. Woo. I'm too close in. I'm good. I'm good. 1 second. There we go. I am good, Jaden. I am good. Very nice, Jaden. Very nice. Very cool. Very cool. Okay. Okay. Sounds good. Sounds good. That sounds good. it's also the correct way to say something. Okay. Okay. This passage has been giving me trouble. Well, Jaden, that's the correct way to approach things. Keep rewriting until you're happy with the result. Remember, it's a marathon, not a sprint. You don't need that. Let's see. No. Thunder is lightning. Have you, oops, I don't know. You know, I always try the sound of fury. That's sound of fury. What the heck does brother suit? That's clearly a messed up word on my part. Oh. That works. Suit. Dress. Yeah. We're adept. Yeah. Bastards of the storm. Sure, that works. Very good. Very good. Okay. Well, it is. You know, it's why it's good to have other little projects to work on, so you don't get so burnt out with your main project. Well, that's, you know, a writer is always trying to expand, so at a time. There will be a time where you'll need to abandon this story and move on. Yeah. Well, I mean, the question is then, Jaden, how do you make it exciting? If you're kind of bored writing it, then how do you make it exciting for your how will you that might reflect your writers, your readers reading it. So how do you like spice that up again? Or I guess that's an appropriate term. How do you bring back the excitement? But also, I don't know. Sometimes it's just, you know, you got all the exciting stuff down, and now it's just you got to refine it until it gets to where you want it to be. You know, and that takes a while. That's why it's a big deal to finish a book. It takes a while to do all this stuff. Yeah. Jeez Louise. Yeah. It just takes a while, man. of a waste in the comics too. It was kind of a waste in the comics too. Um, kind of thought that they. I will never not find it funny that. See, I'm old enough to remember when the Marvel before the MCU, and right around the time the first Iron Man movie was being released, Iron Man had been stuck in maybe the single worst storyline he'd ever been involved in. That would be the original Civil War comic. Now, if you've not read the original Civil War comic, don't. It's very bad. And the reason it's bad is because they have the superheroes doing maybe the single most villainous actions anybody does. Like, they literally have Tony Stark running an extra dimensional black site prison where he just arrests anybody he doesn't like and sends them to prison. It's like, oh yeah, so like we have essentially a guy being like a fascist asshole, sending them to an illegal prison. We have extra dimensional Guantanamo Bay is what we have. And this is the storyline that was going on right as Iron Man the movie was coming out. See, I always blame that storyline a tiny bit for preemptively hurting people getting into the Marvel comics. Because as the Iron Man movie was coming out, they needed to wrap that shit up immediately. They needed to like face turn Tony immediately and get him back to where he was. Where he would be in the movie, because you would have a good chance of getting new readers in who just heard about him because of the movie. And that needed to be the priority. That needed to be the number one thing they were working on. But no, they had to have this dog shit storyline go on continuously, and people who were excited to read the new Iron Man fans who were excited to read the latest comics found themselves with this like fascist loser who and like, so the Secret Invasion storyline comes in, and I was like, okay, that's cheap, but okay, sure. The Tony that's been doing all this is a Skrull. He just he's committed the crime. The Skrull did it, and Tony's been in prison somewhere. Good, we'll just get rid of this, and they didn't even do that. I forget how they actually fixed that situation. I think they just had him reboot his mind or something. I'm like, it's such a stupid storyline. I hate Mark Millar. Millar, I mean. Do I hate? No, yeah, no, I don't. I don't like him. I was trying to think if there's stuff I like about him. I think he's like a comic. No, I'm not even gonna. I won't tar him with that. I'm not sure if he is, so I shouldn't say that. But I hate him. He's Garth Ennis without like Garth Ennis's like wit. Garth Ennis. I looked up. He's Garth Ennis without Garth Ennis's wit. Yeah. And he just does all the stupid edgy things that Garth Ennis will do, but like Garth Ennis is funny when he writes that stuff, and he's clearly like doing it as a bit. I know nobody here reads comics, which sounds a bummer. But Mark Millar was the main writer behind Civil War, whereas Garth Ennis is the creator of The Boys. And the thing with Ennis is, Ennis eh, can be just as stupid. There's a lot of there are many comics that I don't like of Garth Ennis's, but when Garth Ennis is good, he has a wit about him that is hard to beat, and he has kind of this weirdly like madman ability to tap into kind of like manic energy that a lot of writers don't really have. But I hate Miller. I hate Millar because he does all he is the like the lowest, most boring like bullshit example of bad British comic writers. I think he's British. Yeah, I'm pretty sure. Bad like UK comic writers to come out. All his stuff is pointlessly edgy. It's all witless and unfunny. He works hard to make stuff as violent and misanthropic as possible. I can't stand I just can't stand him as a writer. I think his stuff is really obnoxious. Anyways, and he was the main writer behind Civil War. Honestly, Civil War 2 is pretty stupid as well, but can we just not do heroes fighting heroes thing anymore? I'm so sick of it. As it's a dumb idea. Or I mean, you could do Secret Wars, I guess, if we really wanted to. I was talking about that. I forgot who I was talking about that with somebody, but like the fact that I find it strange Marvel Rivals didn't just adapt Secret War as a concept, but you know, what can you do? No, you can do it. Obviously, you can do it. There's potential there, but it's I don't know. I don't know, Jaden. It's been like 20 years. It's been like almost a decade of Marvel going to that well, and I'm just so bored of it as an idea. Because Civil War 2 was almost as bad. Was it as bad? I'm not sure. Brian Bendis, who was in charge of that. Brian Michael Bendis, who's in charge of that, is certainly a much better writer in my opinion than Millar is, but he also is a guy who has pretty enormous flaws if when that can be quite pronounced at certain times. Bendis's problem, Bendis's problem all stems from the fact that he's not a compact writer. I guess would be the way I would describe it. Is like Bendis is really happy to write very long things that will take a lot of time, and he has a problem. Sometimes this can be reused really effectively because like Bendis is good at like how to best put this? He's kind of good at like down to earth slice of life stuff mixed in with like wild adventures. That's usually because he's smart, Jaden. That's why. That's always been the trick. He's quite smart. What was I saying? Anyways. Yeah, anyways. But Bendis is worse. He'll like just extend a story far too long than it needs to be, and I think that was part of the problem with Civil War 2. Anyways, I don't know. He's smart. He can just do it. He has a real solid understanding of science and math, and has a good memory, and just can remember these things. Remember, in the original comics, I don't know what the status is now because they always mess with it, is he invented the web slingers. He invented the web slingers himself, yeah. Well, yeah, so Bendis is a fairly typical example of a problem that modern comic writers have, in that he writes for trades. And so that means like individual issues aren't as big a deal to him as like trade back things. And as somebody, personally, my history with comics is I mostly read from trades. I don't mind that necessarily. And that can be fine once the story is done and you can just sit there and read the full thing and go like, oh, that's good. But the problem is it can be absolutely aggravating if you're reading it month by month. You know what I mean? It's like if you read it month by month, it's just, it sucks. And the fact that there were numerous delays, I don't particularly like Crisis crossovers irritate me to begin with, but I always think Crisis crossovers always have a real fun tendency to ruin the series. Can ruin comics a lot. Yeah, exactly. And Bendis is bad about that. Bendis is really bad about that. And giving him a whole Crisis crossover that will have like 20 issues. Yeah, that's a problem. And plus, and then it led into Secret Empire, which was also, God, they just had a collection of these fundamentally really shitty storylines. I hated Secret Empire. It's made me negative towards that writer because how annoying I found that whole, which it sucks because from my understanding he then proceeded to write a really good Spider-Man series, and I'm like, there's a part of me that wants to read it. I would like to read that because everybody I've heard says that, oh, no, he then proceeded to write an absolutely great Spider-Man. He had a great Spider-Man run after that. Because he had been pretty respected up to that point, and then Secret Empire came, and that was annoying, and I hated it. And then I don't know. I haven't read since Chip Zdarsky's run on Spider-Man. I haven't liked a majority of the Spider-Man runs. Oh, I hate the new guy. Not Joe Kelly. I like Joe Kelly a lot. The new guy, but apparently he's not permanent. So I was really bummed by that because I thought Joe Kelly was going to be permanent, and I like Joe Kelly a lot. Okay, so Joe Kelly. Joe Kelly's important. You know Deadpool? Obviously, Jaden, you know who Deadpool is. Joe Kelly. Now, technically, this is how comics works. Technically, Deadpool was created by writer-artist Rob Liefeld. But the reason you like... Okay, but here's the thing. The reason you like Deadpool is not because of him. The reason you like Deadpool is because of two writers who came after him who completely revamped his character. And that would be Joe Kelly and Fabian Nicieza, who had runs on him that turned him into what he is now. So you can largely thank like Joe Kelly and Nicieza are in many ways Deadpool's real creators. And so I like Joe Kelly, and I was hoping he'd be the permanent pick for Spider-Man. You also you might know Joe Kelly because Joe Kelly, Jaden, I'm fairly certain you've seen a show Joe Kelly's created. Yeah. Oh well, Deathstroke was a total. The Black Cat thing is complicated. I've looked into that a few times, and Ben 10. Ben 10. Jaden. He created Ben 10. Co-created Ben 10. The Black Cat thing is complicated. I've looked into it a few times if she... Because I'm like, there's no way she isn't at least somewhat of a ripoff. But seemingly nobody will admit that. I don't know. But Deathstroke 100%. Deadpool was 100% a Deathstroke ripoff. Yeah, but the writer, they never admit that. They'll never say that out loud. They always nobody will say that's where the inspiration comes from. Okay. So, yeah, I don't know. It's like, okay, so this is Polygon. This is making an argument for that. And like, I don't know, Polygon has something of good. Let's see. Catwoman's original costume. Cost. Because the original, okay, yeah, that is the original costume. I was trying to remember. So this is what the original costume looked like. Oh, no, that's not even that. This is what the original costume looked like. But this is the one they used a lot. And Marv Wolfman contends that he didn't do that. But I don't know. I also agree with you. I have real trouble believing that there wasn't at least some influence. Okay. He claims it's from a cartoon called Bad Luck Blackie. Should have done. Hiring a black cat to cosplay bad luck. You know, it makes me not want to stream on your platform, Kick, when you do that. There's a lot of things that make me not want to stream on that, but... Ban, timeout, delete message. No, why would I unban him? No, I'm not going to unban him. Yeah. Well, according to Wolfman, it was supposed to be for a spider. She was supposed to be a Spider-Woman villain. But yeah, I don't know. I hate those bots. Anyways, yeah, I don't know. I agree with you. It is suspicious as hell. But Deadpool is an acknowledged ripoff of Deathstroke. So the thing with... Okay, so do you know who Rob Liefeld is, Jason? Because Rob Liefeld is a whole story in himself. But the thing is, like, Rob Liefeld, what he would often do is he'd have scripts that he wrote for other companies, and when he switched, he would just... Rob Liefeld. He is the creator, technically the creator of Deadpool and Cable are his two big creations that everybody cites. There's a few others, but his two most popular characters are Deadpool and Cable. Liefeld has a very distinctive art style that's very recognizable almost immediately. Let me show. Rob Liefeld. Ah, here it is. That's always my favorite picture. Yeah, I just want to show that. There we go. So Rob Liefeld drew this beautiful, beautiful picture. Look how amazing it is. Clearly no... Yeah. No problems whatsoever. This is Rob Liefeld. This is a professional comic book artist, Rob Liefeld. One of the most important people in the history of comics. What are you talking? It's beautiful. It's beautiful. Let's see. Okay, that's not bad. Okay, I just want to see some good examples of this, because he has a lot of like funny little quirks. He has a lot of weird quirks to him. Okay. One of the things is he can't really draw feet. Yes, he did. He created Deadpool and Cable. One of his little weird quirks is he can't draw feet all that well, and he'll try and hide it whenever he can. Let's see. Oh my god, the most Rob Liefeld. Oh my god. He also... Okay. Another thing Rob is famous for is pouches. He loves giving his characters pouches. And see, look, pouches, big muscles, pouches, everywhere pouches. Anatomy, somewhat mysterious. But yeah, these are his two most. He created Cable and Deadpool, are his two most famous things. But like, welcome to Liefeld, Jaden. Welcome to Rob Liefeld. He does that. Everybody is super muscly. Everybody is super duper muscly. Or notice how he draws legs. The legs are always a funny thing with Liefeld. Look at this. It's like the legs are essentially like this guy has legs taller than the rest of his body. Both of these legs are taller than like their body. Again, you have to understand. Okay. Yeah. It's just slabs of meat. It's just slabs of meat. Ugh. God. This character right here. This is a character called Kirby. So the absurd thing with this is supposed to be Jack Kirby, aka the co-creator of aka, like, yeah, this is Jack Kirby, you know, Fantastic Four, X-Men, Thor, Hulk, Captain America. Yeah. So Liefeld wrote a badass version of Jack Kirby. I mean, he's clearly a fan, but it's his legs. His legs are always so funny because they're always like, look how tall they are compared to. You could justify that this is an alien, so maybe that works. He was very successful, Jaden. He's very successful. Okay, so I'm trying to find the really funny one. There's a really funny one in here, but I can't. Let's see. Oh, that's not bad. Or is I mean. Let's see. Okay, let's see. What are the 10 worst? Yeah, that's pretty bad. Pretty bad. Oh, and half of his characters are Wolverine ripoffs. Anyways, what was I saying? Yeah. Well, that's clearly, I mean, yeah, this is clear. So this is clearly, so part of Liefeld. The thing with Liefeld is he essentially, him and a few other guys created their own comic company called Image. Now, Image is still around today and is in many ways probably one of the best comic companies out there. And usually, if there's a really good indie comic, Image will be the one publishing it. But so this is clearly this. I can tell that this is when he was still, he didn't have as much power as he did, and he was probably working in a Marvel house style. I'm trying to adhere more to the house style of Marvel, because this feels very like one of the Ramitas or somebody that he's trying to emulate. I mean, this does look now that I'm looking closely, I'm like, oh, that doesn't look so bad. But then I notice, like, the pants are pretty absurd. um, but also, like, you know, one of like Liefeld's biggest issues is he has a really weak grasp on anatomy. Oh, man. Like, if you look here at Supremas, whole body here, it's like, this feels wrong, right? Man, I really love Supreme as a comic. I was thinking of doing a full review of that, but it's always a lot of work. That's probably his best work, is the Supreme stuff. But if you've never read this, I tried to get people to read the Supreme comics. Nobody wanted to. But yeah, it's so funny, right? It's just so funny. What was I saying? I had brought him up for a reason. I don't remember what the reason was. Well, anyways, in the 90s, him and a few Marvel artists really changed. Oh, right. So the thing with Rob Liefeld and like the ripoffs that happened is, what Liefeld would do is he would write these scripts for these series, and if he left a company, as he did semi-frequently, he would just take the script he had already written and would change it enough so that he could use it in a different context. Now, to be fair, several writers have admitted to doing this. Craven's Last Hunt, which, in my opinion, is probably one of the best Spider-Man stories ever, was the guy admitted what I believe he admitted started out as a possible Joker Batman story, but what was I saying? Anyway, so and that led to hit. Liefeld had been working on Teen Titans, I believe, and he had a bunch of scripts lying around for Teen Titans, so he wanted to keep using it. But he didn't. So he created his own series called Youngblood. And Youngblood is a fairly obvious ripoff of Teen Titans. And Liefeld, you can tell, isn't exactly the most original guy to come up with characters. Youngblood, because they're the Youngblood superheroes. Looking at this guy, can you tell who everybody, rip off? There's a few rip-offs here. And part of the problem with the Youngblood characters is they're such jackasses, most of them, that it's hard to really like them, any of them. Like, this one is so funny to me. I forget. because this is a ripoff of who's Green Arrow's Sparky sidekick, and because like he didn't want to draw the bowstring, he created a thing where there's an invisible bowstring. Yeah, it's very often. Well, because what he did is he just had a bunch of these scripts that he had written for Teen Titans lying around, and he wanted to use them, so he just changed it to Youngblood. It's very tiring, Jaden. The thing, though, is, I've read Youngblood, by the way. Talk about a thing that it was impossible to review without walking into nonstop issues. Because oh boy, do they make some decisions in those comics that are oh boy, they made a bunch of decisions in those comics that I was very like, oh my god, really? Or is this the storyline we're going with? Oh god. Yeah, you can rip. You can take inspiration. You can. No, no, the Youngblood comics aren't particularly good. Later writers have there's some later writers who have come in and have done better jobs with using those characters, but there's a series. Would it be appropriate? Supreme, which is set. There's a comic book called Supreme, which is set in the same universe as Youngblood. That Alan Moore did, and he makes a real good effort in making those comics like those characters in comics actually like enjoyable and fun. Supreme is, if I could pitch, Supreme is essentially the best Superman comic not starring Superman. It's Alan Moore. Well, that's kind of the point I was trying to make. Rob Liefeld isn't necessarily it's really guys like Joe Kelly and Fabian Nicieza. There's a third writer that often gets credited, but whose name slips my mind at the moment. But it was really guys like Joe Kelly and Fabian Nicieza who took what Deadpool was essentially a character that came into existence because Rob Liefeld had a script written that starred Deathstroke, that had featured Deathstroke as a character, and he wanted to use that script, but he was working at Marvel at the time. So the compromise he came up with was, I'm just going to create a different character called Deadpool. And Nicieza and Kelly saw that character and inexplicably changed him into the character we know today. Because he was essentially kind of a blank slate that you could do anything with. You say that, Jaden. You say that. No, he doesn't do. He doesn't do that. Remember when I mentioned that he does a lot of rip-off characters? So he has at least five or six characters that are essentially Wolverine rip-offs. Like the thing is, for a period in the '90s, Rob Liefeld was in a constant state of ripping off Wolverine, and then ripping off Lobo. No, see that's the thing. Cable was kind of his one. See, that's the thing. Cable is legitimately probably his one real classic character that he created. He created on his own with no like, um, no obvious comic ripoff. And I mean, Jaden, you could almost argue though that Cable in many ways is a ripoff of the Terminator, but Cable in many ways is just the Terminator, but X-Men. I mean, he's essentially Kyle Reese mixed. He's essentially Kyle Reese from the original Terminator mixed with, but given the body of Arnold Schwarzenegger. But you know, but it's not a ripoff of a comic book character. I don't know if the timelines match up on that. I'm not exactly sure. I don't think the timelines do. No, it's Cable is definitely a ripoff of the Terminator, but I don't think. And then and I say that I just remembered. Oh, right, he had like 40 characters that were ripping off Cable. I forget. No, 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 no. Yeah. Okay, Cable first appeared. Okay, well. Okay, he first appears in 1990. And Lobo first appears. Lobo first appears yeah. First appeared in 1983. Yeah, but Cable isn't all that similar to Lobo. Isn't all that similar to Lobo. Like the whole joke with Lobo is he's like an irreverent ass. Oh shit! I know Keith Griffin created him. That makes a lot of sense. I was just. I didn't know Keith Griffin co-created him. Yeah. Well, I think it's fine to start. I don't think there's anything wrong with going like, well, I like this character and I would like to write stories about him. And you start with that like baseline level of like, okay, this is going to be a similar character to that. But if you're creative enough, eventually, like the character will morph into its own thing. Yeah, it was. Yeah, I'm sure I read that before that Keith Griffin created Lobo. It's just never stuck with me. Keith Griffin, if you're also created Rocket Raccoon and Jamie and the new Blue Jamie the Blue Beetle. Yeah, I mean, but what I'm saying is like like this shirt is inside out. I just realized that. Hold on. Like there's nothing really wrong, I think, with just starting out with like, okay, I want to write a character who's like another character. And if you're like a real writer, eventually that character will feel quite a bit different than the character you were inspired by. And I think that's fine. Like, it would be hard. Like, look at like Deadpool versus Deathstroke. It would be hard nowadays to say that Deadpool is a rip off of Deathstroke when they are so wildly different. So I don't know. Exactly. And very original characters, people who create like very original characters, when you like really nail it down, when people talk about it, they go like, oh yeah, well that was just kind of based on a friend of mine. It's either other things you've read or based on people you know or based on real people that were interesting. You've most likely met a version of that person somewhere, and you've met a version of that person before. God, the Prophet reboot series that they did later is so good. Yeah. Well, I can't speak for every comic book fan, but I definitely started reading I read Moon Knight at least initially because it's like, oh, so this is Marvel's version of Batman, huh? If a character becomes popular enough in their own right, it'll essentially turn into to a type of genre in and of itself with conviction, like conventions contrasting to that. No, I agree with you. It's funny how you say that, Jaden. When I made that point a while back, everybody fought me on that. That was one of the most surreal nights I've ever experienced streaming. Where I'm like, no, Daredevil is very close to Marvel's Batman, and people were like, "That's just no, that's not true. That's not true. That's just incorrect." I'm like, it was one of the more surreal like events I've ever experienced. Where I'm like, "What are you guys talking about? This is so obvious." It's like, well, no, 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 that's not true at all. I'm like, do you guys even like know these things? I found it quite. It's one of those things. It's like where somebody argues that like you can't breathe, you shouldn't breathe air. Breathing oxygen is bad for you. Actually, it's like I don't really know how to argue this because I never thought I'd have to argue this. It's just so obvious. It's self-evidently obvious. Although, but Moon Knight is very clearly an attempt. Is also very clearly an attempt to create a Batman for Marvel. By the way, it was even created by a pretty a Batman writer, a well-known Batman. Is Doug? Moon Knight was, I believe, created by the guy who created Bane. Yeah, yeah, yeah. There we go. Oh, great, Chuck Dixon. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yes, he was. Yeah, Doug Mahonen created Moon Knight. So all I'm saying is Moon Knight was created by a guy who's mostly known for his Batman writing. Yeah. Well, there's a few. Well, there's a few, Jaden. There's a few characters. It's not like there has to be one character. Let me throw out let me throw out a dark horse candidate that people don't often think about as a potential Batman analog in the Marvel universe. But I I've been thinking about this a lot, and I think the characters line up way more than people give them credit for. You know who's also another potential Batman analog in the Marvel universe? And really sit and think about this for a second, and you know I will be right. Black Panther is one. Well, think about it. Think about it. Think about it, Jake. Think about it, Jaden. They are both. They're both wealthy. They're both wealthy playboys, and they're wealthy playboys. They have a martial art based fighting style. They both use night and darkness to get through. They're both noted for more for their intelligence in a lot of ways, and outthinking people than they are for is one of their main skills. They both have backing. They both have massive backing they're both financially massively backed. Bruce has Wayne, Wayne Enterprises. T'Challa has Wakanda. The more you think about it, they both are known to use a lot of technology. The more you think about it, the more they fit. You could argue that Black Panther is in many ways in the same position that Bruce is in the DC universe. Yeah. Yes. Exactly. Even sometimes they'll be designed somewhat similar. Like, let's see. Black Panther comics costume. Let's see. Let me see if I can find it specifically. Like, not this. Although I like this design. I'm more looking just for kind of like, especially when they give him a cape. You notice, you especially when he gets a cape, he starts taking on a real Batman-y look. Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. The more you think about it, the more the more you think about it, the more it becomes obvious that it's Black Panther. I don't think I've ever heard anybody make that comparison before, but I started noticing it a while back. It's like in many, especially the Priest run, he comes off very Batman-y. Yeah, he comes off very Batman-y because it's like, yeah. Well, I don't know if anybody's intentionally made that comparison, but has intentionally done it. It's just I think they kind of fit the same role in both their respective universes in a lot of ways. It's just what throws it off is because like he's a monarch of a nation, whereas Bruce is just a CEO. So that you don't think about it in those terms. But if like say T'Challa was like if he was in charge of Wakanda Industries or Wakanda Enterprises, then it would be really obvious. Like if you changed nothing about his character but just made him a CEO of a company, then it would be very obvious that they're similar. Yeah. Well, I don't even think maybe they even realize that I don't think people even realize that's he's doing that. I think that kind of I don't think it was like intentionally because like definitely when they created him initially that wasn't the idea. I don't think that was intentional, but I think he kind of evolved into one the more they used him. Because I know also he doesn't have a secret identity, and that's a pretty big difference. But because what is the ultimate rich idiot with no day job? Being a monarch. But yeah, yeah. When if you really think about it, for yeah, yeah, yeah. So many things when you break it down, Jaden, are just kind of Batman ripoffs. And I don't mean, by the way, necessarily that he is a Batman rip. I don't think it was intentional, by the way. I just think it kind of happened. And the Batman archetype is pretty strong. But yeah. Let's see. I don't know. I've never seen somebody make this comparison before, but let's see. Black Panther, Batman. But the more you think about it, the more it becomes obvious that they're very comparable. Okay, the Ringer has an article on this, so I may not be the only one. Let's see. Yeah, the Ringer is even making my point. My point for me, like, yeah, see, both are very smart. Both, yep. But yeah, that's an all. Yeah, but the more and more you think about it, the more they become quite similar. It's just like T'Challa is. It's even yeah. Yeah. Something to think about. Something to think about. Not that it's bad. Not that it's bad, but it's just it's an interesting because it's like the thing that hurt. Yeah, that's good. Like because the thing that hurts the difference between Daredevil and Batman is that Daredevil is fundamentally doesn't have the resources that Bruce does. Um, the difference between Batman and Moon Knight is not as stable mentally as Bruce is. Yeah, but it's mostly the resources. Daredevil can handle himself in a fight just as well as Bruce can. Um, but yeah, but Daredevil does face off like against a lot of similar villains as like Bruce does. Bruce does is the thing. I know his big, you know, the Kingpin is of course Daredevil's arch enemy, but one of the things I found really fun, I found out a while ago, if I found really funny, is that apparently Fisk's like straight edge, job that he actually makes, yeah, money from his like in real life job apparently is being a spice trader. I just thought that was so funny. Yeah. I mean, the Falcone, the Rose is usually. Well, they kind of go in and out with the gangster stuff. It's usually the Rose. I always forget. It's Falcone usually. I guess Penguin, as of nowadays, is pretty kingpin-y. The Penguin, we can fit that role pretty well. Falcone fits that role pretty well. Yeah, Falcone. You know, that's also, you tend to forget that he even exists, but he's always kind of a consistent. I feel like the Rose actually is a Marvel. I sometimes combine characters in my head a little bit. Yeah, and they run. Yeah, they're both big, and they run a crime empire. Whereas, yeah. One thing, I'm happy they're starting to bring them back, but for a while I still have to read the Riddler one that they did a while back. A lot of people have been telling me that one's really good. But for a long time in the Batman comics, they weren't doing a lot of the classic villains, and they were doing the newer ones. And the thing with the newer ones is I hate them, and I find them all really boring. That's not true necessarily, but I'm kind of over like the Court of Owls or the Court of. I mean, the thing with like the Court of Owls have a cool design, and that can get that. The thing like nobody admits this, but having just generally a cool design can get you pretty far in comics. Like the Court of Owls has a pretty neat design, but I find those sorts of plot lines to be kind of boring, honestly. And I am done. I am done with the Batman Who Laughs. If I never have to hear about the Batman Who Laughs ever again, it will be too soon. Oh, what if the Batman was the Joker? Oh. Tell a story, damn it! Tell a story. Don't just keep. Tell a new story. Don't just constantly do different pieces. Yeah, but that's the thing. Cool designs can get you pretty far in comics. And I think that's pretty much half the reason, like, the Batman Who Laughs is still around, is just because he has a neat looking design. But the character, it's, I don't. I'm so tired of Scott Snyder as a writer for Batman. I really am. I think he's been in there for like nearly a decade and a half. Yeah, right. He because he does suck. Good, Jaden. Yeah, yeah. Owlman, especially in that movie that they did, is really cool. I like Owlman as a character. Yeah. Well, Jane, Owlman has a philosophy. He has a coherent. See, the thing is, Owlman has a coherent philosophy that makes sense. And he's a hyper nihilist who's obsessed with control. And that is a coherent philosophy that makes sense in the context of him as a character. Anyways. And maybe the Batman Who Laughs has, I don't know. I'm tired of evil versions of superheroes being the main bad guy. Like, the evil Superman is also a character archetype I'm kind of getting sick of. Evil Batman is boring of a character archetype. I don't know. It's funny that, like, the thing about comic books or comic book parodies that we're seeing right now. Yeah. Yeah, well, what's interesting is, like, the villains get redeemed and the heroes get made evil. I don't know. Is Venom still attached to Flash? No, Flash. Venom for a long time was a tap. You can tell I'm a tiny bit out of date with everything. Flash Thompson. Flash Thompson for a while was controlling Venom. In the Spider-Man. Oh, yeah, he still is the anti-Venom. Well, he. Oh, damn lot. Let's see. I think is he still in. No, he's anti-Venom. Get it? He's a hero version of Venom. Yeah, he's still around. Yeah. See, because he was Peter's bully in high school, but after high school, he joins the army. Does his turn pretty much, and oh boy. So, and he's now anti-Venom, which was people liked that character. That is a thing with the Marvel universe is everybody will eventually become like either a Venom or an Iron Man. Like when they're not totally sure what to do with a character, they'll either give them a symbiote or make them an Iron Man. Like Black Cat, it was an Iron Man for a while. I think Mary Jane is now a superhero, which is fun. It's fine, I guess. It's always the least. They always just whenever they're out of ideas, they'll just make a character give us a character superpowers. Yeah. Not to give away a future project that I might do at some point, but I find it kind of a little boring that the instinct is always to make a side character a superhero and not explore what life is like in a superhero world, if that makes sense. That's why I really like the series Astro City, which is very much exploring what life would be. Is both a superhero series and a series exploring what life is like in a world full of superheroes. And I always find that like really a compelling story. Man, Astro City is so good. I should reread that. I have the collection somewhere around. Have you ever read Astro City? Nobody's read Astro. Nobody cares about Astro City. That might be one of my favorite comics, honestly. Yeah, it's a realistic, it's an idealistic but more realistic take on the superhero genre, and it's just about as much about like the people who live in a superhero world as the superheroes themselves, and they do cool things. It's like um, and their Batman analog is a, and to show you how weird they can get, their Batman analog is a vampire. That's like the first story arc, really, is about the Batman analog. Batman, in many ways, is still a vampire. I need to read. You need to reread that series. They also do a good. Partly, what's fun about that is it also kind of jumps forward and backward in time, and it's all written by one guy, Kurt Busiek. So it means it's very consistent throughout. Kurt Busiek happens to be one of the best writers out there, so if there's a good superhero series, Kurt Busiek, there's a good chance Busiek was somehow involved with creating it. He's also a guy that I didn't realize. He's the guy I had to learn that writer people actually read their responses on Twitter, and it didn't occur to me that Busiek would actually read it, and I think I irritated him a few times by doing that. Because whenever I would respond to people, they would never respond back to me, and I'm like, and then he like responded to me like, "Wait, no, that's you can't do that. Wait, you're not allowed to do that. What are you doing? I didn't realize you actually read your responses." I'm just curious because I'm like, because he doesn't usually do like he doesn't usually stay for full series usually. He did a Spider-Man. His one of his few like full things that he did full series for. It's like, yeah, he doesn't usually do like runs of like characters, which is always it's it's always a little frustrating because like there's these really good writers out there. Please tell me, Jade. It's always frustrating because there's these really good writers out there who would be awesome as like doing runs of characters, but one, because they are really good writers, they won't do it because it's like because they would be under such editorial control the whole time, and it's like I kind of think, okay, yeah, that's fair, but I'm also like, it's so disappointing that we never get like sincere full runs of characters from them,
Because like I'm looking, like I think the longest he ever. Okay, let's see. He did a run of Superman. Uh, wow, yeah, he did a run of Superman. Yeah, from issue 50 to 75, which that's pretty strong. I think he also has a Spider-Man run he did, but mostly it's kind of like one shots or mini series. He never does like really a full on run, and he'll mostly just focus on his personal projects, which, again, to be fair, is correct because his big personal project is Astro City, and Astro City is one of the best. Like, okay, he did a run. Okay, Young Indie, some Conan stuff, mostly a Superman run. But that's always one of those things that's so frustrating because it's like there's really good writers out there who I kind of wish they would just let them do a full run, but editorial would never like do that. Like Mark Waid, who's another one of my favorites, did a run on Doctor Strange that I really liked, and then he was just that was it. He just did it for a couple issues and then he moved on, and I'm like, yeah, fair, but also, do full runs, give good writers full runs and pay them adequately. Mark Waid, there's a guy, perfect guy for a Spider-Man comic writer. Perfect Spider-Man comic writer. They'll never give it to him though. He would be a perfect guy to do Spider-Man, but okay. That's cool, Jaden. That's really cool. Yeah, go with that. How dare you say that? How dare you put that evil in my mouth, Jaden? How dare you put that evil in my mouth? I don't I don't have I don't have I don't enjoy kicking people while they're down. I don't know. You know, the thing is, from the outside, Zeb Wells seemed like he might have been a good choice for Spider-Man. But I think it's always important to remember at least with guys like that. The problem, from my understanding, the real problem with Spider-Man isn't so much the writers; it's editorial. And what happens is, like, I've talked about this before. What happens with like editorial is that, like, you get these editors who are entrenched, and Spider-Man is especially a good case of this because Spider-Man is, I believe, still the #1 selling Marvel character. I can't be certain of that because I can't find reliable numbers much anymore, but I believe Spider-Man still sells the most. And the thing with that then is, like, corporate is very, very, like, controlling of Spider-Man as a concept then. And they don't and the main Spider-Man comics will not partake in letting interesting guys with original ideas come in when bland formula is what they like. So you get this kind of, I don't know. So Zeb Wells may very well on his own create, without any editorial interference, may have made a good Spider-Man comic. We'll never know. But unfortunately, the Spider-Man comic he did make was bad. But it was bad in the way that a lot of these ones are bad, is that it reeks of corporate overview. You know? We all love Paul. I was saying Mark Waid would be a good Spider-Man writer. See, the thing is, I can tell Zeb is... The thing with Zeb is I can tell he came up through television writing. Because Paul could theoretically... The problem is, okay, how could I explain this? They keep writing Spider-Man and Mary Jane like they're still dating, and the problem is you can't unring that because Spider-Man and Mary Jane were married for decades in real time. There are people who have grown up, people who have been born who know nothing but Peter and Mary Jane being married. Like, you can't just erase that history. See, because Paul is a character thing that pops up in TV comedy, like sitcoms, somewhat frequently. That's a bit of an archetype that pops up in sitcoms frequently. And Paul is the seemingly perfect guy that the love interest is dating, that our hero can't really find any fault in. You know what I mean? And while that's perfectly fine for like a 20-minute, again, that is perfectly fine for a sitcom to do in 20-minute intervals once a week. It doesn't work so much for a comic where a single storyline can take like 2 years. So it's perfectly fine for that to happen for a little bit of time in TV shows, because TV shows are paced quite differently than comics. And, you know, we get some laughs over like, this guy's too nice and I can't really find anything wrong with him. But I want to hate him just because he's dating the girl I love. Like, you can do that in a show. Like, Paul would be fine as like a 3-episode guest star. But in comics, you have to, like, I think a thing maybe Zeb didn't totally appreciate with that whole storyline is like, that's going to take like 2 or 3 years to get through, man. And what can be perfectly fine in 20-minute intervals can be really irritating in like 2 or 3 years where we have to sit with this. And the thing is, like, when new writers take over Peter, they have a terrible tendency to make him an absolute start him at absolute zero again and just make him a loser. And after a certain point, Fade! Theoretically, I'm working on it. Were you here for the cover reveal, Fade? Were you here for the reveal of the cover? I don't know if you were. Maybe you were. I've showed it to a lot of people. Oh, okay, yes. Well, I was going to work on it tonight, and Jaden got me distracted. Yeah. Oh, you haven't seen the finished one. The finished one. Yes, it is officially finished. Yeah. Well, this gets into the issue with the marriage in that they didn't really know how to write the marriage all that. Part of the problem, one of the things that has been sort of lost in the history of all this is that they actually didn't really know how to write the marriage all that well either. Okay, I present to you the finished cover. Right? Right? It's pretty darn great. Yeah. Yeah, isn't that cool? Like, I didn't draw this, by the way. I should make that clear. Somebody else drew this, but isn't that cool? Like how the oh, like how the lines naturally lead you to her. Like how the ropes naturally lead you to her. Anyways, but that's just the front cover. This is the back cover. Yes, thank you. Well, I hope people like the inside as much as they like the outside. I mean, partly what's holding everything up is I'm waiting on notes from a few people, and that is taking some time. Um, right? Doesn't that look cool? Yeah, I'm very proud of it. Man, Fade, I'll be honest, people do that. But everybody does it. Everybody does it. Yeah, I know. I know, don't judge a book by a cover, but everybody does it. It's so funny. It's like you shouldn't do it, but also covers are vital for selling the book, and that's the number one thing people are going to judge. It's yeah. Oh, you were the one. I know. Well, the thing about it is, often books can have very bad covers. Good books can have very bad covers that totally misrepresent the what's in them. Let's see. Let's see if I can find them. Uh, Pride and Prejudice modern covers. Let's see. So there is. Okay, let's see. The brothers Karamazov. Forgive me, Russian. Let's see if I can. There's some very funny ones that it of. Let's see. That they've been doing lately for. Oh yes, I was hoping to find this one. This is the one I was hoping to find. So this is okay. So the brothers Karamazov is considered one of the great like Russian novels of all time. It takes place in like I think the 1800s. You wouldn't be able to tell that from this cover, right? Doesn't this cover read old Russian novel? And there's more than two. It's a There's more than two. It's not. They're not. It's not exactly that. Let's see. Oh, I used to love this subreddit. This was one of my favorites. Let's see. Now I just want to see them. What's wrong with I mean, oh, the title. The title is the time I got yeeted, and they love. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, the title. That's pretty. That's obviously fake. Oh yeah, this Hobbit cover is pretty bad. I believe. Wow. Oh, everything is. Which one? The werewolf one? I mean, I was looking at that. I was like, oh, what's exactly wrong with that one? And I didn't notice the title of it. The time I got drunk, I drunk and yeeted a love potion with at a werewolf. I was like, what's wrong? Because the art looks fine, and then I was like, oh no, that is pretty funny. Oh, let's see. Oh, now I'm just having fun. Yeah, real scary. 1984. Let's see. Uh, I don't know. What irritates me is like I hate the fake ones because there's a few fake ones that pop up. Okay, well, is there any good ones? Let's see. I feel like, yeah, that's always a depressing one. Uh, just- oh God, Empress Teresa. Should I? Jesus, Jesus, Mary and Joseph. What about this one? Don't you guys? Yeah. What are you talking about? Let's see. Adolf. Yeah, there is. I'm just trying to. Oh, let's see. 10 things doctors won't tell you. Oh, it's just I get paranoid. It's like, oh, I don't. Oh God. Because some of these I don't think are super appropriate for work. Yes, it makes me uncomfortable too. Okay. Nope. The Hunt for Bigfoot. Have you ever heard of Empress Teresa? That one. This one's the best. Look at this one. Let's see. Um, Pride and Prejudice modern day cover. I know there's a modern day cover of Pride and Prejudice that everybody hates right now. Not I guess these, but there's uh that's not exactly the one I was thinking of. There's ones with like these really bad stock image. Yeah, yeah. I wonder what it. Yes. Just thought it was that's that's well. What was his first name? What was his last? Did they like think he was like a Cher figure, and we just always refer to him by his first name? I guess. Yeah, I'm seeing that. I'm seeing that. But yeah, a little bit what's holding up the book, if you're curious, is I'm just kind of waiting on notes from a few people, some beta readers. It is not. It is not. In the U.S. it is not illegal to name your kid anything. This is a lie that people tell. There is no federal law about naming. I had to fact check this once, so There are several state laws that like limit the length of a name, or say that the name has to be expressed in English characters on a that can be on a typewriter. But beyond that, there is very little federal laws. As opposed in Germany, I believe it is illegal though, but Germany has very strict naming laws, and you can only name kids certain things. Yeah, it is. Yeah, but Germany also has incredibly strict naming laws to begin with. But here in the U.S., it's not. Um, you can only name your kids like certain names in Germany. So it's like Carl, it's Olaf. There's a few names you could name a kid. Isn't that in England? It is illegal to name your kid. I believe Christ. I saw this video that really irritated me a while back on TikTok, where it was these guys like claiming that you can name your kid Jesus, and I'm like, there's no way that's true. There's no way that's true, because there's a lot of people here in a lot of people. Jesus, if you're curious, it means Jesus. Yeah. Anyways, um, yes. Well, Germany is very good about anti-Nazi stuff. Uh, that's not necessarily true, but also none of them have had kids. So, uh, listen. Yeah. They're also um, they're in New Jersey. If you're curious, the three surviving ones. Yeah. Well, the Hitler, the three surviving ones are the, I don't know if they're still alive, but the three surviving ones are descended from Hitler's younger brother. Listen. I get nervous every time, because I do know a lot of like I've studied a lot about World War II and fascism before, so I do know a lot of this stuff, and I get that my it's because I don't like these people. I don't like these people, and I dislike fascism in general. So I know that that feels like a fairly like non-controversial thing to say, but uh, I don't want to get too political. But there's a lot of modern day politicians who are kind of out and out fascists, and but don't call themselves that. Yeah. Well, Fade, in my opinion, and this is just my opinion, to defeat the enemy, you must know the enemy. It's all well and good to say you don't like the obnoxious brown coat, black shirt, brown coats, whatever, marching through your city. But you have to figure out what they're actually after, and how to best stop them. Yeah. Yeah. You end up learning a lot. Levi! Good to see you. Oh, we're talking about bad people. I'm threatening. That's a good miniseries. I'm happy to see you here. So how are things going? Theoretically, I'm supposed to be writing, but we're just vibing. We're just vibing today, so whatever. Thank you. Um, yeah, I need to. I've been in a little bit of a rut with my writing. Leylai, that's awesome. I'm psyched to hear that. Which is this? Is this the Spirit Hospital thing you were telling me about? What was I saying? So Fade, how is marching band? Very good. Leylai, that is such a good thing to do. I'll throw this out there. If you want to learn how to write, start with short stories. That's always the best way to start. I mean, if you want to like just jump and try and write your epic, go ahead. Go ahead, but I have no. I don't want to stop you, but it's a very good way. You should. Well, I don't necessarily know how to write music, Fade, but I think you can do it. If you wanted me to take a look at it. So what have you been writing, Leylai? Yeah? Are there any good... Let's see. Programs for writing music. Do it. Free. That sounds cool. Oh. But you have a phone, right? You're a young person. I assume you have one. Yay. Very fun. Sorry, I'm a little hungry. Well, we're on the road of kings. Here. Poor little doggy. Just loves to chew things. I'm always so distressed by... Anyways, It's very cool. I'm psyched, Leila, that you're getting some writing done. That's very cool. Makes me want to get writing done. Theoret. That's what I'm supposed to be doing right now, but honestly, I just don't feel like it. You guys want to see a drawing I did? It's not done yet. I don't know if I'll finish it, but thank you. Uh, I like talking to you guys. You're very positive people. So, are you still reading that dragon book? Me versus Brain. I've never heard of this book. Although, to be fair, there's lots of books I've never heard of. An Overthinker's Guide to Life. See, I'm in a real low energy moment in my life right now. I used to have a lot of energy, and nowadays I have very little. Yeah. Boo, homework. Boo, homework. Homework sucks. I spent a not inconsiderable past few days learning about all the cults that spawned out of Harry Potter fan fiction. And it should be noted, I've had very good restraint in not immediately bringing that up and wanting to talk about it for hours on end. Because there are some wild people. And when I say Harry Potter fan fiction, I don't mean not Harry Potter. These are cults that have formed around fan fictions of Harry Potter in particular, including one that's that is so nightmarishly influential. Yeah. Okay, so that like tech billionaires and stuff are forming whole like cultures out of this. Like Fade, are you excited to learn that partly what's influencing Elon Musk is a fan fiction he read? Perfect purple pictures, please. Yeah. Anyways, let's see what am I talking about? Purple, purple per. Actually, that's hard to say. Purple, no, perfect purple pictures, please. Perfect purple pictures, please. Perfect purple pictures, please. Penelope. Put. I can't extend it more. I'm trying to think of a way to extend it, but I can't. You should. Nightfall is a really good comic series. Hey, English was. Yes. Just remember, on Earth classes are really good until they're not. I've seen so many kids like. Anyways, I don't miss high school. By the way, don't miss it at all. My aunt. You should. Fade, you would like that. That would be. Yes, yes, you should take that. That would be right up your alley. My aunt is a teacher, and she's been dealing with this whole situation right now. She's so much so that she says she's just going to retire because of how shitty this whole situation is. And I'm like, and my aunt is somebody is yes, and I would happily hear you yap, Fade, but I don't really understand music theory all that well. But I'm excited that you're excited. I'm happy that you, I'm happy that I'm happy that you're into it. Okay. You want to learn some fun facts about um, superheroes? Well, that's it. You want to learn some fun facts about superheroes? Or superheroines? Fade? Okay. Uh, so, uh, do you know who the first Well, let's go through a couple of the very first superheroines, because you might be surprised how they work. There we go. That's what I was looking for. Okay, so who do you think the first female superhero was? I want to find it. Nope. Wonder Woman was the third superheroine. Was the third superheroine to exist. She's beaten by two other. Yeah, fair, but yes, you were close. Wonder Woman is arguably the most popular of the three, but I'm if I could, the first there's some the first two are pretty great actually, and probably deserve to be remembered a lot better. I just want a good example of her comics, because now let me see. Now, fortunately, the first is Phantoma, Queen of the Jungle. So frustrating. Because you can just read her stuff online. Oh, here we go. Haha, good. Because Phantoma has long slipped into the public domain, so. And the quality isn't great, so forgive me. But Phantoma is great because she protects the jungle, but how she does it is, what happens is, like, people in pith helmets will wander into the jungle. Okay. And she initially will look like this, like a blonde-haired, and then she'll turn into this weird skull ghost woman, and will violently destroy anybody she doesn't like through, like, inventive means. And it's always some, like, terrible punishment. It's always some, like, it's always some, like, over the top punishment where, like I'm trying to look through a few here. Right. Okay. Yeah. This is a great one. Warns you to not touch the jungle's sacred treasures. Never mind her. Get the jewels. Phantoma again warns you. If you ignore my warning, you shall pay dearly. And she turns them into lizard men of some sort. She turns them into lizard men of some sort, and then transform the men. But then flies them back as lizard men. It's so weird. Anyways. She's cool. Yes, okay. And then the second is Navalia of the Northern Lights. Now, this one is really interesting. So she's the second published superheroine, in that she is now Navalia, I think very well could be seeing a resurgence at some point as a character. So Navalia is the she's essentially, in many ways, she's actually kind of um she's kind of she's in some ways kind of a prototypical uh like kind of Thor Wonder Woman-esque character. So okay. She's inspired. Let's see, because she's directly connected to. Yeah. Anyways, let's see. Okay, yeah, yeah. So she's direct. She's the daughter of. Forgive me, Inuit people. I'm not great at pronouncing. She's the daughter of an Inuit god and a mortal woman, and so she essentially has all the powers of like. So she's essentially kind of a Thor-esque character, and she's actually really she holds up surprisingly well. I've read the original run of her comics. Um, and it's very surreal to read because it almost reads like, yeah. Let me show. It almost really does legitimately read like kind of, yeah, yeah. Here we go. Yeah, there we go. That's good. That's a decent modern day drawing of her. Yeah, yeah. So she's a demigod, Inuit demigoddess, and she protects the North from well, mostly Nazis. The comics are pretty funny because it's constantly okay. So the briefest history of this is this character world. Yeah, right. Was created in World War II. And this was a brief time where imports were closed down, so only Canadian things could be created. So this was created as a distinctly Canadian character, and yeah, yeah, and so her job is, so basically she's an Inuit demigoddess who fights off Nazi invasions. She also has a brother who can't be shown, who can't be seen by mortals. So whenever they see her brother, he appears as a dog. Yeah, it is kind of funny because it's like in the comics, like the Nazis are bombing Canada, like not like it conduct several bombing raids in Canada. And I'm like, guys, I think if the Nazis bombed Canada in World War II, we would have heard about it. That would have been a big deal. I'm half Canadian, so um, if my mom is Canadian, so but yeah, but that would have been like a big deal in Canada. Anyways, it's really fun. I feel like this is a series that they might. This is a character that has they there's a good chance that they might bring back at some point. Yeah. Well, as somebody who's grown up, not grown up, but as somebody who's grown up with a lot of Canadians, I can tell you they're not as kind as they think they are. Well, that's a pretty bomb like redesign. Honestly, let's see who this person is. Yeah, that's a pretty cool. Yeah. So the deal with Canadians is that they actually can be just as rude as Americans. It's just Americans have a tendency not to pick up on it. I find. Anyway, I feel like that I feel, but yes, I feel like she's gonna. This is a character that is very primed to make a comeback at some point. If they, if you know, and in a weird way, she's actually kind of technically in the Marvel universe. Yeah, yeah. No, it's very appropriate for kids. It's very appropriate for kids. I mean, there's Nazis, but you know, but like, I don't know. I just think a female Inuit. I think a female Inuit superhero is with like really strong historical connections is like probably too strong. It is not an idea that we should be really leaving in the lurch in like you know the dustbins of history for too long. Because the fact that it exists and it was popular. By the way, this comic was hugely popular when it came out in Canada for a for a decently long time until the American comics came back. I feel like that's maybe like too strong of a thing to let go. Yeah, yeah. I mean, there's some good female comic characters. I don't know if you've been around here. I've told this story before, but when I was a kid, two of my favorite characters, my favorite character was Stephanie Brown, and two of my favorite characters were Stephanie Brown and Cassandra Cain. Do you know who those are, Fade? I keep hoping that they'll eventually like adapt those characters for the mainstream, but they've popped up once or twice, but yeah. But honestly, this like redesign this guy did is pretty cool. Actually, I think that looks really cool. Um, oh, so Cassandra Cain and Stephanie Brown. Well, no, it's good. It's good. It's good because I want to. If you don't, I'm going to tell you about them. If you don't, I'm going to tell you about them so I can try and sell you on them. So Cassandra Cain and Stephanie Brown were both later period Batgirls. Cassandra Cain. Listen, Fade. Let me tell you something. I think it's very good to just, when you don't know something, to just admit it. Because you get so far in life, you get so much more out of life. Just admitting you don't know something than you do pretending you always know everything. That's a bad habit of mine, is that occasionally I'll admit, I'll say, oh yeah, I know that thing, and I have no fucking idea. I didn't curse. I have no idea. I have no idea what I'm actually talking about. Let's see. I'm just trying to find a good picture. Yeah, and I think that's very. I think that's a very healthy. just trying to find a good picture of them. This is Stephanie Brown and this is Cassandra Cain. They were later edition Batgirls, and both of them have a shared trait in that their fathers are supervillains. Different brewing process is, from my understanding, different brewing process. It's pretty much the same thing, but it's a different brewing. Oh, go to bed. Go to bed. I probably should end the stream anyways. It's not like I got any writing done. I got some editing done, but it's not like I got any serious writing done. It's good talking to you, Fade. Good luck on your competition. Go to bed. Sorry for Sorry. Go to bed. I think I'm gonna call it here too. Night.